Good afternoon. My name is Ricky Poole. I am the General Counsel for the San Antonio Professional Firefighters Association. Over the last several months, I have also served as the lead negotiator for the firefighters in their efforts to reach a new collective bargaining agreement with the City of San Antonio. We have now been in that process, that bargaining process, for nearly 150 days. Both publicly and privately, we have attempted to negotiate a contract. Unfortunately, we have not been able to reach that agreement. And for that reason, today, moments ago, I forwarded to the city attorney the letter which I believe you have been provided with, indicating that we are now declaring impasse in the negotiation process and we are invoking arbitration under the recently enacted and voted upon city charter amendment. It was not something that we did lightly as a union. This is a process that we hoped we would be able to reach an agreement without needing to move to arbitration. And as I told many of you many months ago, we viewed arbitration as one of those tools that could be utilized to try to reach that ultimate contract. Unfortunately, negotiations has not gone in a way that would lead to that contract, and therefore to try to reach the finality that we believe both sides need, it's now time to arbitrate. With that being said, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Why now? Why not arbitration after the initial 60 days that y'all could have done it?
Well, I think we hoped that we would be able to reach an agreement. And frankly, that position, there were a number of people out there that believed that as soon as we started negotiating, we would go to arbitration. Our belief has always been that the best contract is one that can be negotiated between the parties. Unfortunately, we are just too far apart, and at this point, for purposes of reaching that finality, we need to invoke the arbitration process.
Who will select the arbitrator?
Well, both sides get to select an arbitrator, and then those two arbitrators will try to reach an agreement on the third or the neutral. If they're unable to do so, then there's a process in place for the American Arbitration Association, or AAA, to select that third neutral arbitrator.
And that will be binding arbitration.
That's correct.
What were some of the issues you were too far apart on?
I really don't feel comfortable talking about the issues that we discussed during the mediation process. I do think we've identified in our letter to Andy Segovia some of the issues that we believe need to be addressed by the arbitrator. And of course, those include wages, health care, the cancer issue, as well as ADR, and some other issues that have come up through the process. Pursuant to the charter amendment, we've identified issues that we feel need to be addressed by the arbitrator, and that's what we plan on doing.
So it seems like after going through all that hassle to what happened, get rid of Cheryl Scully, that Cheryl Scully was not the problem, right?
Oh, I'm not really here to comment on who's the problem and who's not the problem. At this point, we simply haven't been able to reach an agreement. We have a new city manager. We have worked with that city manager to try to reach an agreement. And unfortunately, the parties haven't been able to do so. But I'm not here today to name call or anything else. I would just like to move forward in a process that, arbitration is recognized all across the United States. I mean, whether it's in industry, whether it's in sports, whether it's in public safety. Interest arbitration has been around for more than 100 years. It is merely another step to try to reach an agreement.
Do you have an arbitrator in mind?
For the union arbitrator, we're talking to different arbitrators right now.
Can you talk about next steps? When do you have to pick an arbitrator by? Is there further timelines kind of laid out by the prop or the city charter?
Sure. Actually, the timelines flow from the notice letter that we sent today.
Okay.
And so from today, within 45 days, the arbitration must take place. Within 15 days, the parties have to designate their respective arbitrators. And so we're already starting that clock today.
And when you say arbitration has to take place, does that mean a deal has to be finalized, or you just have to start meeting for arbitration?
I read the charter amendment as starting the arbitration within that 45-day period. There's then a 20-day period during which the arbitration can take place.
Okay, so 65 days would be the maximum.
Well, and then there's a period of time for the arbitrator to reach a decision. But I mean, yeah, I would say within the next 2 months or so, we're going to see a decision.
Do you expect these sessions to be public?
I would like them to be. I would want them to be. I don't see any reason for them not to be.
There's a sense that just as the city could get stuck with a deal after arbitration that they don't like, the fire union could get stuck with a decision after arbitration that you don't like either. Is that something how did that weigh on your decision to invoke this?
Absolutely. I mean, I think arbitration involves risks for both sides. I think that's really, in a lot of ways, why you do try to negotiate an agreement. And that's what we've tried to do. I mean, going for 150 days through a process is a significant period of time. And unfortunately, the parties were just too far apart.
Do you think we would be here today if Greg Brockhouse had won the campaign for mayor?
I don't know that that would have made any real difference. Greg Brockhouse as mayor or Mayor Nurnberg, I mean, they're one vote on this contract. So I really can't say what would have happened. What I do know is that, despite both sides putting forth proposals, we're simply at a point where we feel it's best to move forward.
You said that 150 days was a long period of time, but y'all have been going through this for the past 4, almost 5 years, if I'm not mistaken. But why does 150 days seem like a long time when you've gone 4 or 5 years without a contract?
Well, I completely agree with you. I mean, if you want to look at it in the larger picture, it's been 5 years since the firefighters have received any kind of pay increase. So yes, I mean, when you talk about it in those terms, it has been a very long time. But in terms of the face-to-face, one-on-one discussions that have taken place over the last 150 days, those have been significant. There have been hundreds of hours spent by the firefighters as well as by the city of San Antonio in trying to reach a deal. And unfortunately, the parties haven't been able to do so.
And forgive me if this was asked already, but how long is this process going to take now? I mean, you're going to select your arbitrator, she's going to select its arbitrator. You'll probably have a window of time that you have to do that. When do you think that there will be a contract that the city and you will have in front of you that you technically have to agree upon?
Well, all I can tell you is the arbitration itself has to occur within 45 days.
Okay.
So that will be the start of that arbitration. So I would imagine it would be sometime within 30 days after that.
So there's no time limit or
Right.
there's not a cap?
I think the arbitration hearing itself is a 20-day period. And I frankly, I don't recall if there's a period of time that the arbitrator has. I'd have to refer back to the charter amendment.
And so those two arbitrators have to come to an agreement between them? And is that how this works? So you said you're going to pick one, the city's going to pick one, they have to agree?
Yeah, so let me back up.
Sure.
So you have the letter, which we've sent today.
Uh-huh.
That starts the whole process. From today forward, there's 45 days until the arbitration must begin. Within 15 days, both sides have to pick their own arbitrator. There's a panel of 3 arbitrators. So within that 15-day period, we will know who will be the union's arbitrator, who will be the city's arbitrator. After that, the 2 arbitrators have 10 days to try to reach an agreement on a 3rd arbitrator. If they can't, then it goes to AAA, and there's a process for that 3rd arbitrator to be selected. So then you would have your 3 arbitrators in place. At that point, you're still prior to the 45-day window. You could start early, or you could start on that 45th day. You have 20 days to have that arbitration hearing. So that kind of lays out the time period.
So those 3 arbitrators have to agree on a binding contract?
A majority, that's right. So 2 out of 3.
And so that when that's in front of both the union membership and the city, I mean, the membership has to vote on it, and so does the city council. Can they vote it down?
No, there is no vote at this point.
Okay.
This is binding arbitration.
Okay.
So the arbitrator is going to make that decision.
And it has to start at the 45th day. It has to start.
That's what the statute says.
Okay.
The statute or the?
Excuse me.
The charter amendment.
The charter amendment.
Yes.
Once you guys declare, as you have done now, you can't take it back, right?
We can't take what back?
Like, if you get to the point where, like, you pick your arbiter, the city picks your arbiter, there's no saying, actually, you know, we rescind our declaration of arbitration. Like, this is it, right? You can't come out of arbitration now.
Well, I mean, we wouldn't want to come out of the
Not that you would,
arbitration
I'm just saying
process.
there's no reversing this move today, right?
I mean, I imagine on some level the parties could agree to a contract in the interim.
Okay,
I mean, that's always possible.
okay.
But we're moving forward at this point. Anything else?
Anything you want to add?
I don't think so. Thank you all very much.
Thanks, Ricky.
Thank you.